in her group and got interviewed with her, and now we're switching places and we're interviewing her. So we'll give the floor to her. Let us know who she is, what she does, and who she serves, and maybe
Okay.
she'll invite us to her exclusive group. Hopefully.
Yeah, you are already. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. I'm very honored to be here. So, as you said, my name is Lola, Lola Bailey. I'm Nigerian, born and bred in Nigeria, but I moved to the United Kingdom, to the UK at the age of 8,
Oh,
just because my parents were traveling quite a bit. I went to university here, and then I met my husband, who's from New Zealand, and so I ended up staying here. So that's just to me. My parents live in Nigeria still, and I consider it home. So England is like my adopted home. My background is scientific. I have a degree in analytical chemistry and biology. So I went to work for GlaxoSmithKline, a pharmaceutical company. I was there for 22 years.
wow.
Took redundancy. I always loved writing, and I used to sort of have a magazine. So redundancy was an opportunity to start doing more writing, and then I decided to become a copywriter
Oh,
because it combined all my skills and my interests. So
wow.
today I'm a copywriter mostly for business to business businesses and also corporates through agency work. So my business clients tend to be coaches, but they're coaches who sell to corporates. So they work, with specific departments in companies. And I also have a few software as a service clients who are consultants. They tend to be more in the artificial intelligence space. So they're dealing with, they have some crypto clients, for example, and I do their white papers for them. And I do also, even though I don't like tech, which is weird, so I do their white papers for them, and I also do all their press releases for them and their articles for them. So I have a range of clients, but they're mostly consultants and coaches, or I do agency work. And that's where I get to work with really big companies through the agencies. And here I am. So, and the reason I'm on Facebook actually is because I wanted to build a passive income stream. And so I developed my own course to teach small businesses how to write persuasively. And I've just started doing some things for fun actually, like my messaging masterclass to teach people about storytelling, things like that. So that's kind of like passive or semi-passive income, but it's not really my main work.
Wow. Yeah, I took two of Lola's classes, and it's waiting for me to go ahead and consume. But I know that copywriting is actually my kryptonite. So how can we, like, get started when it comes to showing up in the social media world? What or how important is copywriting?
Well, it's funny because I think it's I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and my argument is that it's the number one skill that all entrepreneurs should either learn or outsource.
Mm,
And the reason why is because if you can't persuade people about yourself as a business person, your strengths as a business person, if you can't persuade people about your offer, then your business won't really get off the ground, no matter how good your other services are. So if you go to a networking meeting and you can't persuade them about
mhm.
yourself as a person, if you can't persuade them to take you seriously, then you're kind of just making friends. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's the number one most important entrepreneurial skill, which doesn't mean that all the other skills aren't important. Of course they are. It just means that for me, without that ability to persuade, then you'll find it really difficult to grow your business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one because that's one of the things that I follow Jim Edwards, and then this guy he has a book called Persuasion Hitman.
Yeah, I think you mentioned him to me before.
Yeah, it was a really great book because he does, like, email marketing, which is like he can actually persuade a subscriber into buying. And he started in the financial space, and that's like where he charges like about between 50,000, 25,000 to 50,000, depending on, like, the series of email. So that's really good, because in a social media platform
Mm,
there's so many people posting, right?
yeah,
And then they scroll nonstop.
yeah.
What is like a one thing that you can, like, give us a tip in order for somebody to stop scrolling?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a loaded question, and it's a question that everybody wants to be able to answer. I think I said in your group that I don't think it's the case that there's necessarily too many people to compete against. I think it's more the case that people are lost in a sea of confusion and misinformation. And
Mm.
so that really sort of reduces their credibility, it reduces their sort of trust in other people. So I think that is more the issue. So the only way really to get them to take notice of you is by building that triad, the know, like, and trust. It's really the only way that you can stand out is when people believe that you actually do have their best interests at heart. And also getting them to know that you're a genuine expert, which is obviously the title of this talk today. And the number one way to do that is by showing and not telling. Because there are plenty of people who I see on Facebook, I've just won an award, I'm multi award winning this, I've just signed six-figure clients. That doesn't tell me anything. That does nothing to, bring down my shackles, my hackles, for example. So I think it's all about taking the time to build those relationships and to show your expertise. Don't tell people you're an expert, actually show them. So to give you an example, when Vanessa asked me to fill in the form, and I think I've mentioned this in the other talk, I was just mesmerized by how things happened. The sort of automatic forms I had to fill in, the things coming by email, it's a link here, this link there. And I just thought, my gosh, this is really somebody who knows her stuff. She's never told me that she's an expert. I can see it. Do you know what I mean? So that is really the secret. Show your expertise. Don't tell people your expertise, just show them. And there's so many ways and opportunities to do that. You can do that in the comments when you're talking to people. You can do that at all the interactions that you have with people. When people ask you a question, the questions you ask. So there are loads of ways to actually show, not tell, your expertise. And that's really the only way to show your expertise, in my humble view.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think, I mean, even when you learn writing, when as you in academia, when you learn writing,
Yeah.
they always tell you, show not tell, right? Even in creative writing, it's show not tell, and
Yeah.
that's essentially what we're trying to do to quote unquote stop the scroll, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that because when Vanessa described your process to me, I'm like, wow, she's doing all of that manually. I was amazed on that. Took a lot of energy to do all of that manually.
I know. I just have no idea. I'm just so useless when it comes to tech. It really is. And the thing is, there's no point in me going to somebody for something that is probably quite simple to do, and they're going to charge me like 500, 1,000 pounds for something that's I can learn and do it myself. Do you know what I mean? I'd much rather go to somebody like you guys for something meaty
Right,
rather than something small, like filling in a Google form.
right.
It's just, me taking the time to learn it. I mean, but for example, today I was in MailerLite and I just said to the tech people there, am I doing this correctly? Why is this not linking to that? And it was just such a stupid thing. But he was so lovely, the guy. And I could tell that, he thought he was talking to a 3-year-old here. But the questions I was asking were just embarrassing me. So I have a degree and a master's, and I'm asking him the most stupidest questions. Going, but where do I put the link?
I think it's a matter of we don't know what we don't know, right? I actually wanted to ask you, what are some of them? When you share in our group, I actually read everything you share because it's very
Thank you.
powerful and
Thank you.
it's punchy, is what I call it, because it goes to the point. It's not very wordy. And I have this book with me all the time because sometimes I need to write quick copy for a landing page. What are like some like maybe 10 powerful words that can make someone either click, buy, or take action, basically?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, taking action, you have to have a call to action, and it's amazing how many people do not even have call to actions. They'll
Right.
have really long, great posts about anxiety, and I just don't know what do I do now. So, so obviously, that's your call to action is really important. But in terms of words, I mean, I think the great thing about copywriting is that it leverages human psychology, right? Why people buy. And so you can take advantage of some insights from there. So, for example, we know that loss aversion is a very strong motivator, is a strong driver. So you could appeal to that. How people should avoid losing something. And then also the way where our brains are wired for self-preservation. That's why words like easy work so well, or fast, or even new, tend to sort of really get that sort of the adrenaline, the dopamine, the neurotransmitters really engaged. So those sorts of words that appeal to that sort of evolutionary aspect of us that wants to preserve ourselves, that wants to shield ourselves from pain, they tend to work really well. And and also storytelling is a great way to start off a landing page or a post like that. Things like something that gives them hope, for example. And that's the key part of the way I do messaging, is to start off by, I call it dare to dream. That's the number one thing. So something that's going to give them hope, because a lot of people are battling a lot of demons. They're battling doubt, they're battling self-esteem, they're thinking to themselves, can this really work? So a headline that speaks to that again would work, because there's so many things. I mean, a lot of people think it's just external things that they're battling. It's not. Very often the problems are within themselves. So it's if you can have a headline that speaks to that. For example, for me, who's terrified of tech, anything with the word easy, and I'm there. Or it takes 1 minute. It's something like that. So it's all about appealing to people's self-interest, and all, but whilst being aware of how they perceive themselves. So which is why I think I mentioned the other day when you asked me about your messaging, and I said, well, we need to know what the main driver of most of your perfect fit clients are. Is it that they want time freedom? Is it that they want to make even more money? And that's the thing that you grab onto. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I said you could take one angle, which is, say, you could shave off this amount of time. It could be, if it's convenience, and you obviously tap into that. But it all comes down to really understanding the number one driver of your ideal client, and what is their dream world? How do they picture themselves in a dream world with respect to their business? And then literally just target that. That's the bullseye that you aim to. Then the rest of your copy spread, follows on from that.
That's a really great, framework. So if you are listening here live or replay, let us know in the comment below, because I'm sure that you, the people who are watching in here, would have that kind of like copywriting question come up all the time, because the number one problem that I see in the online space, when you are showing up in Facebook, especially, right? If you're like in Facebook groups or whatsoever, someone would always ask, what is your number one pain right now in your business? And most of the time it's either sales or leads, but essentially the number one is sales. But the number two that they always say is like not enough leads. So it starts with your content.
Yeah.
Messaging.
It really does. And I think the big problem on social media, especially the content I see, is that it's almost crafted in such a way to appeal to people who just want stuff for free, or people who just want to talk about problems. So the best way is really to show that you understand their problem, but also that you have a solution. Because the people who are more likely to buy from you, the people who are actually primed to want that solution now, they're ready to buy if you can show them that you have that solution. So it's almost, really sort of making sure that your copy is crafted to directly appeal to those people who are more solution orientated. I want the solution. Do you know what I mean? I just don't want to sort of go through hoops and faff about with freebie content that I can just get anywhere. It's, they want to know. That's why I think I mentioned about knowing your ideal clients inside out. They want to know that your content is especially for them. It's really specifically designed for them and their problems. So that's how I would sort of approach that. So just really sort of talking to almost one person that you have in mind, because they're bound to be a whole tribe of them, exactly like that.
Exactly.
But they need to be solution orientated. They want to make a difference. Now, someone like me, I would be a waste of time to you guys, because, for example, I don't. Number one, I can't stand tech. If I'm being brutally honest. I haven't got it's just because I don't, I mean, I love what it can do. I love the freedom that it can give you, but I just don't have the bandwidth for it. That's the main issue. But you have a whole world of people who can probably make you just sort of multimillionaires because you have a great thing there. So there are plenty of people, is the point I'm trying to make, that, would be your ideal clients because
Yeah.
they're there. It could, I mean, I don't know what the main advantage of what your CRM is, but they would, I'm sure, if they knew about it, come to you.
Well, Lola, this has been, like we were saying before we even got an, an interview, that we could talk all day. And can you invite us to your next masterclass? When is that happening? What is it about? We'd love to be a part of it. I'm sure our audience would be too.
Oh, thank you. Well, actually, the next one, I'm thinking probably towards the end, it's going to be on messaging again, because some people said that they missed the first one and they want to come to another one. So, yeah, and this time I'm going to actually select a volunteer and we'll co-create their messaging.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there and then. So it's going to be on messaging again because people seem to want that.
Yeah.
I mean, messaging isn't, I know that some people charge millions for it.
Yeah.
Because they can get away with it, and there's really no need. But I think it's the reason why it's important is because it's the kind of the foundation for everything that you do.
Right.
And it's tricky to create because it needs to encompass a variety of things in it. Your values, your knowledge of a specific type of ideal clients, the fact that you can be trusted, that it needs to achieve many, many things. It needs to kind of like hit many balls, your messaging. That's why people find it difficult. But once you've done it, I mean, that you shouldn't really need to create it again within your specific business. So that's why it's so important. So the next one is going to be on messaging again. And yeah, so I'll definitely let you know. I'll put you on the list. Cool. But I mean, I have sent Vanessa the information, but she's so busy with juggling everything. She probably hasn't had time to have a look at it, which is completely fine. Because I'm here anyway. I'm not going anywhere. So
not yet, to be honest, just because that we have been like pummeling through with like a lot of clients. We're like, providing the results, and then we're seeing our clients like, rolling in.
Wow, brilliant.
Yesterday she was like, I just have like a paid in full client. We were like, what? And then she said,
she even went and raved about, because we built her a system, and she told us, this other client just signed up without any issue. I didn't even talk to him, nothing. They just paid, $3,000, and that was it. Like, I didn't talk to them. The emails went out, and she was like, wow, this is amazing. I could sit here, not do anything, and someone could just sign up for all my courses. And then she sent a screenshot. Did you see that in our messenger on another result that she got from another paid
recent one? That's right.
So we are busy. We are getting there. I think I have more questions for you, but I don't want to take too much of your time, especially about messaging and how does it need to evolve depending on who you're talking to and all that good stuff. And I think these are topics that you can talk to in your group. So invite us in your group, please.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're in my group already.
Yeah, but our audience aren't.
Oh, I see. So what do I need to do?
I'll send the link. I'll add the link in the show notes, and Lola is gonna wow us some more in her group and give us some more amazing stuff about copywriting, you guys. Any last words, Lola, before we wrap up?
I would say if there's one thing to perfect, if there's one thing to get really right, that's what you open with. So people call it your headline. But for whatever it is that you write, it has to kind of really grab attention. And there's I don't know if you've heard of David Ogilvy, who's a very famous ad guy. So he said that, 5 times as many people will read your headline as they do your body copy. So you've kind of spent 80 cents in your dollar really before, you know what I mean, before anything else happens. So that's how important headlines are. So it's worth spending a lot of time getting your headline right. But then obviously once you've got that right, you have to deliver with the body of your copy.
Yeah.
So I think headlines, and also don't be afraid to have your own style. A lot of copy, the content that I see is quite samey. So, and I think it's great to develop a style that not only appeals to your personality, but also resonates with the values of your ideal client. And I mean, it's just just being yourself, being true to yourself and letting that shine through
Yeah.
with your content. And that's why I love copywriting, because I get to work with so many different types of people. They have different styles, they have different values, they have different everything. And it's fascinating for me to really have a window into their world, a window into their dreams, and to help them succeed by articulating their vision into something that's a reality, not just an abstract. So that's what's really nice about what I do. But yeah, so don't be afraid to develop your own style, and also repetition. When you have compelling messaging, repeat that messaging. Obviously, you can do it in different ways, but repeat it across all your customer touch points, because that's what makes things stick as well.
Yeah. 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 Thank you so much, Lola. This has been like a real punch in the gut for everybody.
In a good way.
In a good way. Okay.
Because
Oh, thank God for that.
I mean, like the copywriting really needs to be on point. So in
Yeah,
that
it does.
way, sales will come to
Yeah.
us. Leads will like finally, because there are buyers everywhere. There are a
Yeah.
lot of consumers more than producers.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. And most of us are like, consumer driven, like consumerism, I guess.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to.
Consumers, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and drop the group that people can go ahead and start joining. And we'll be putting your next masterclass inside our group, inside Systems to Scale for high ticket coaches, course creators, and consultants. And then anywhere else that we can go ahead and share your genius zone. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for having me. Bye.